Okay. Good afternoon and welcome all in the third session of day 2 STTP on data analytics with Python. Now the resource person for this session and next two session is now available with us, Mr. Tushar B. Kute. Kute sir, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
Yeah.
Good afternoon.
Okay. Welcome, sir. So now participant, I briefly introduce today's expert and resource person, Mr. Tushar Kute, sir. Mr. Tushar B. Kute, currently working as a data scientist and researcher in MITU Research Pune. Sir has completed his BE from COEP Pune, University of Pune, and ME from Dr. Bamu University Aurangabad, and a diploma in computer engineering from MSBT Mumbai. With this technical degrees, sir have also other qualification also, that is for non-technical courses also, that is of Bachelor of Journalism from Tilak Maharashtra University Pune, then diploma in Urdu language, as well as certificate course in Urdu, advanced diploma in Hindi, MA in Marathi, and MA in Hindi. So these are the various qualifications sir have. Sir's total experience is of 15 years, and sir also working as a chief panel of editor and author at Prakrut Prakashan Pune. Means other than technical, sir also have a very much interest in non-technical things also. So sir, research area of sir is nothing but the data science and machine learning, as well as Internet of Things, big data technologies, Linux administration, and kernel development and embedded systems. These are the small area of interest, but with more than this, sir has also worked in many things like C++, Java, Python, Haskell, R, the platform like Ubuntu, Linux, Mint, Kali Linux, Ubuntu Server, Android. In database thing, MySQL, SQLite, MongoDB, HiveQL, Cassandra, SB-base. Sir also have written various books in Marathi as well as in English, that is Core Java Programming, a Practical Approach. That is one of the book. Again, it's a Bits and Byte in Marathi book is there. Then Python Programming for Marathi peoples. And then Python Programming again in Hindi. So such kind of expert is with us now. As well as sir has published many technical paper in conferences, that is more than 10 papers published in the conference and more than 15 papers published in the international journals. Sir also have carried out many projects with the technology of C as well as C, Python, VB and C, VC++, using the platform Linux and Windows. Sir also have acted as a training program and expert seminar conducted, that is more than 100 plus seminars and training programs offline conducted by this sir, as well as due to this COVID, sir also conducted more than 100 online training program and FDB conducted. Also act as an online seminars expert related to these things. Sir also associated with the IIT Bombay, that is with the spoken tutorials. So with this IIT Bombay, sir have conducted the various courses on Python, Linux, Java, then LibreOffice Impress and LibreOffice Calculator. Okay, so with such kind of expertise with us now today, so sir will guide you through the journey of Python in the data visualization. So I request Tushar Kute sir to please take over this session.
Thank you, sir. Thanks a lot for the introduction. So, we are learning about the data analytics in Python. Many things are there which are now undertaken for the data analytics using Python. Out of that, 3 topics will be there that I'll be delivering. Today, we'll see structured data analysis with pandas. And in tomorrow's session, we'll talk about the visualization of the data by using different kind of tools. Okay. So, most of the topics that we have seen already, you may have seen, the machine learning concept, you might be knowing the Python programming language also, and some concept like data pre-processing or the numerical Python. So we'll be proceeding ahead with the topic of structured data analysis. And here I'll be showing the structured data analysis with a Python with pandas. Most of the thing we'll see practically, and how to do the structured data analysis with different kind of functions, commands, or different kind of classes which are present in Python. Okay, so this kind of topics that we'll see in the today's session. Okay, before proceeding, what exactly analytics is, we have seen already. One thing that we need to know that before performing any kind of data analysis, we need to know about the data sets. See, for example, I want to just check the literacy rate of India from last 100 years, how it is changing. So where can I get this data? So I need to work on that, and I need to work on some solutions by which we can identify how to improve that literacy rate there. Or I just want to find how many forest fires have occurred in last 100 years across the world in different sanctuaries or different uh, kind of forest, and how much area that they have covered, that I want to check it. So I need a data for that. Or for example, I want to check the sea level, okay, the water level of sea, how it is rising from last 100 years or 200 years. And I need to find a solution onto it, or I need to find the reasons behind it. So I do such kind of data analysis. So I require data for that. So many such kind of problems are there. That problems may be from any kind of industry, maybe from nature, it may be from the biology, it may be from physics, or it may be from automobile, maybe from manufacturing, maybe from education, maybe from gaming, from sports, anything. So when you have to do data analysis, we need to know about the data sources, basically from where the data is present. After that, the analysis is possible, analytics on that data is possible. After that, we can build the machine learning algorithms on it. We can build the machine learning models, we can create a data models of it, which will be used for predictive analytics or can be used for the descriptive analytics there. So data source is the first factor that we need to know. Basically, when in company we used to do the project, so the clients are giving a data sets. This is your data, and you need to perform this kind of analytical operation on this, or we have to create this kind of predictive modeling on it. They're the requirements given by the clients. But being a learner, being a person who is willing to learn the data analytics, we need to use some data sets which are probably best suited for our applications, or they are available online, they're authorized, they're authenticated, and they're more suited for your problem definition that you are working currently on. Maybe some of you are working on this particular field of data science or machine learning or artificial intelligence or business intelligence, so we'll be working on some set of data. We require data first, and using that data only, you can perform the analytical operations on that respective data. So where this data is basically present, how this data will be available for us to use, this is the important question. So before actually proceeding with the analytical operation, I'll focus on the data sources, where this data is available, from where the data can be downloaded, or what are the different types of data sets available. The types of things I'm talking about, the type of file. Okay, so when you have to use it, uh, we are knowing programming language, we are knowing how to use computing power, we are knowing how to build the model, we are knowing statistics behind it, we are knowing the different processing operation that we can do onto it. But if the data is not present, then these operations are not useful, or this knowledge is not useful. So we need to identify the primary data sources from where the data can be downloaded, can be made available for the data scientist or anyone who is working on data science to use. Okay, so I'll show you first a few data sources from where data can be downloaded. We can use it, and what are the plus minus points of it, and then we'll move to what kind of files are very much useful for us, and then we'll do structured data analysis using Python's pandas. Okay, so just a minute. Okay, so we'll go for a website, and then I'll show you where can I search it. Okay, the first source of the information, or first source of the data that I want to use it here is UCI machine learning repository. If anyone is working already on that, just check it out. This is UCI machine learning repository. I search in Google UCI Irvine machine learning repository, from where lot many different kind of data sets are present. You can check it out, ucarchives.ics.uci.edu. On that site, you can check multiple different machine learning data sets are present. So they currently maintain 580 data sets as a service to the machine learning community, and can check the all list are mentioned here. Check. Even the data set, what exactly the data set contains, complete data set is description, its names of columns, what sort of data that they carry, what sort of model that we can create on this data, that everything is mentioned onto it. Just can check it. See, these are the newer data sets now available on the UCIML repository. Here are the some popular data sets which got maximum downloads from 2007 onwards. See this. Can check the names of it, like synchronous machine learning datasets, Wikipedia Math Essentials, Hungarian chickenpox cases, okay, dry bean datasets, get classifications, or these are the both the popular one which are shown over here. The iris adult wine hard disease. Maybe if you know, iris is very commonly used dataset in the machine learning. That we can see this one. So the datasets. If I go to any of the name, I just click on the iris dataset here now. Now you can see the complete description of the dataset, what exactly the dataset is containing, that we can find about it. Download from here. Description of this dataset is present here. Okay, check it out. How many rows are there? How many inputs are there? What type of task we can do on that data? That's also mentioned here in it. Okay, and detailed description of it. What exactly data carries? Who has created it? What's the attribute meaning is? What is the output variable? And below that, they are given some relevant research papers also, in which papers this data set was used. Okay, see that all are mentioned. So it will be one of the guiding source for all of you to do data analysis from this particular data sources. Even the papers, most of the papers are available in PDF format, so you can just go through this and check how they have used this data set basically. So most of the data sets which are present over here, they are in structured format, and few are in unstructured. Few means like when you have to apply the recommendation systems or association rules, at time data sets is not required to be in structured format. Unstructured data is also present, but for classification, regression, and clustering, we require the data to be in the structured format. So all the data set are available. If you just go to view all data sets here, so the list of all whole data set that we can see here, check it. 580 data sets are there. Classification, regression, clustering, and other, like accordingly that we can check their classification of the whole data sets here. Check it. Fine. See, all many data sets like 580 are there. So different kind of task that we can identify from these data sets. See, this all are there. This is a primary source of data which is authenticated, authorized, used by many developers. The research paper also you can see that, and accordingly we can identify what is the meaning of this data and what applications, for what application we can use this particular data here. Okay, the second one is you might be knowing the Kaggle. Sorry, just a minute. Kaggle. Kaggle. Kaggle is the Google's repository, basically open and public, where anyone can upload the data and can download also. See, we need to register using Google here. You can see, so they have mentioned what exactly the Kaggle is doing. See, inside Kaggle, you'll find all the code data you need to do for your data science work. Use over 50,000 public data sets and 4 lakh public notebooks to conquer the analysis no time. See, they're given this. Most of the users prefers to use the download from data from this one, because 50,000 are there, and almost all kind of data sets we can check it here. See this: financial tweets, face detection, Star Trek, and many more. See, like there are the competition data sets are there. It's a very large community of Kaggle is present that we can use it. So as anyone can upload it, so authenticity is not actually approved for the Kaggle's data sets, but best solutions can be found on the Kaggle. That's my experience also. Next is data.gov.in. As I told about the Indian literacy rate, I just want to find out any kind of information that you want to know about Indian government data set. So that can be downloaded from this website, data.gov.in. Like, see, all that, even COVID-19 Indian data set is also present. Like, all they're getting uploaded, and from where you can download it. You can just check it out. These numbers: 5,01,534 resources are there. Okay, 10,000 catalogs, 177 departments, including state, and 89 central and 90 state departments are there. Their information we can download. You can see the common data set which are downloaded, like economy, transport, education. See that, industries. Fine. And if you want to work on that Indian data, so you can download from here also. Fine. data.gov.in. Next, data.world. One more popular repository, just like Kaggle, but Kaggle is different. Data.world provides the data. Even here, you can sell your data also. Kaggle and one more data.world, and one more is this Condor data set that you can use. See, so here we need to create account, and after that only you can use the data by downloading from data.world. Okay, wait a minute. See one last. It's Quandl, QUANDL. Financial and economic related data sets are present on the Quandl's server. Quandl. There also we can create account, and you can sell data set also. Most of the time, when you are working on the research project and you think that this data is now novel and it's not available anywhere to use it, so we can sell data sets on the Quandl, and we can sell on the data.world also, because if it is that much useful and you think that it's sellable, so you can just use this. You can see world's most powerful data lives on Nasdaq's Quandl. Fine. So there are top repositories that generally are used by the users. Many more are there. Some foreign universities also created their own repository where the data sets are available that you can download from there directly. That's also possible. Or just like a few websites, they're specially mentioning the data. Like uh, I want to have a data about the cricket statistics. So there's a website created by ESPN Starsport. It's a cricksheet.org, from where cricket related data can be downloaded. Even for soccer related data set like football data sets also available on the FIFA's website. That also you can download, you can use it. Or if you want to download movies related data sets, so IMDb is providing that. Internet Movie Database is also providing it, and we can download it and we can use it for any statistical operations or data analytical operations to do. Fine. So these are the data set, data sources which we can use, and from where data can be downloaded and we can use it. Now here we are talking about the structured data analysis. Now data which we are storing, it is in the form of the structured table, relational data that we call. Data is available in the data source in the structured format. So when the structured format data is concerned, so we require to use a file format to store the data in it. File format. So what sort of file we'll be using there? Maybe if you use Microsoft Excel, so Microsoft Excel basically is one of the good file structure which we can use to store the data in structured format. Excel file, XLSX file format are there which are used in which the data can be stored. Fine. But apart from Excel, there is one more special file format which is used to store the data, is the CSV, that is comma separated values. CSV file format, which is most preferable file format present in the data analysis here, because see, the reason is that with minimum space, maximum information can be saved in CSV. Okay, like Excel can store multiple sheets of the data. It can store the it's a programming language actually. It can have formulas also. It can have the graphs also stored inside it, or even we can write formatting, like making colors using it bold, underline, or stripe, like all that abilities are given in Excel, but we don't require that abilities as a part of data structured data analysis. So we prefer the CSV file format, that is comma separate values file format, and with this data analysis can be done. So whatever sources I've shown over here, 5-6 sources, almost everywhere, maximum more than 90% data sets, structured data sets are present stored in CSV file format. That's what I told. Minimum space, maximum information is the property of CSV file. That's why CSV file are preferred. So if you're having lakhs of entry, then also not much amount of space is required to store it. In my experience, that file I'm showing over here for analysis. So for that particular file, it's required almost 250 bytes of the data in CSV file format. But if you store that data into Excel file format, it requires almost 5 kilobyte of the data, means almost 20 times bigger than the original file is that CSV file. So that's the disadvantage in Excel. But Excel is good when you have to use multiple sheets and you have to apply the formatting on the data that time. But if you talk about structured analysis in Python or in Pandas, we can analyze 22 different kind of the files. 22 different kind of the files can be analyzed by that. So as a part of case study, I'll be making use of the CSV file, which is very commonly or preferable file to store the data inside it. Okay, so let's see data analysis using that different data sources. Whenever you have to build a model, we have to perform the data importing first. You have to import the data inside the program, and after the data is imported, then only we can perform the analytics on that particular data. So what sort of analytics are there? How to import? So both importing, analysis, and even after analysis, you have to store the data in the structured format. That also possible with the help of the Python programming language. So one of the data sets I'll show over here. Before that, let's get introduced with the pandas in Python, and then what abilities are there, that also I'll show, and then we'll proceed further to do. Let's see. So wait a minute. Okay. So data analysis with pandas. What exactly the pandas is? Maybe if you already worked, this will be one of the refreshing session for you. But it's very interesting to see this library of pandas, which is very popular open source library present in Python programming language. With this, we can do lot many things on structured data, all kind of analytical operations. So today I'll show few of them which are very necessary to perform operations on it, and we get extracted. We'll like slicing of data, performing analytical operations onto it, saving it, Boolean filtering on that data, or performing some statistical operations on it. Many that all we will see here in the pandas. Now see, the pandas is an open source Python library providing high performance data manipulation and analysis tool using its powerful structures. Powerful structures. So data structures basically, in if you know the Python, in Python, core Python, very four basic data structures are present when you store the collection of data inside it, like list, tuple, set, and dictionary. But apart from that, we are going to have one more data structure that you may have seen in the previous sessions, that is NumPy, and array data structure is there inside the NumPy, which is very beneficial for data analysis in pandas, in Python also. But apart from that, two more data structures are there which are now available in pandas. They are using single dimensional or multi-dimensional data structures there. This was created 12 years ago by developer Wes McKinney, starting developing pandas when you need a high performance flexible tool for data analysis. Prior to pandas, Python was majorly used for data munging and preparation. It had very little contribution towards data analysis, but pandas have solved this problem. And because of pandas package, Python has become popular programming language for data analysis. That is the fact actually. So using pandas, we can accomplish 5 difficult steps in processing, analyzing of data, regardless of origin of the data. So 5 steps are there which we can accomplish, can perform on the pandas here. The first is loading the data, that is data import. I need to import a data inside my code. So I can make use of the pandas package to do so. Second, preparation, like I want to clean the data and I want to make it available for my data model, for my machine learning algorithm, for predictive modeling there. So I need to make use of the panda. I can use it. Many more operation, many processing operation we can do onto the data, and I can make it available to get used by the data modeling techniques. Right? Then manipulation. I want to apply a similar operation on the whole data sets, and accordingly I just can perform manipulation at a time. Maybe it's a need of the machine learning algorithms. We can do that. Data manipulation on the data set with the help of the pandas. Then model building. Very small algorithms are there which are used to build the model. Generally, model building on the data is done with the help of the another library of scikit-learn in Python. So with the help of scikit-learn, we can do the model building, that is machine learning model building on it. And then analysis. So lot many different methodologies are there by which you can analyze the data. You can directly apply the functions on that data and get your task done from there. Okay. So in this session, we'll be taking the detailed overview of all of the steps which are mentioned over here. Okay, we'll get an idea how to do these particular operation with pandas here. So Python pandas is in a wide range of field, including academics, commercial domains, including finance, economics, statistics, analytics. Now everywhere, pandas can be easily used. So what exactly features are there? What we can do with this? Maybe some topics are not possible to cover in this 1.5 hour sessions. So you can try by your own, but they are enlisted here. Now see what exactly are they. So it contains fast and efficient data frame object with default and customized indexing. The tabular representation of the data like CSV file completely can be read inside the code, and there's a special data structure created to store or show that table is a data frame object, data frame in which the data can be stored. We'll talk about that, what data frame is, which is very popularly used by many machine learning algorithms also in scikit-learn, in MLXTend package, in Orange package of Python programming language. Then it contains a tool for loading data into memory, in memory data objects from the different file format. 22 different file formats are there by which we can read the data inside the code, and we can even transform in other file format also. Within 2 lines of code or single line of code also, the data transformation from one file format into another file format possible inside the pandas. The data alignment and integrated data handling of missing data is also possible. It's a part of data pre-processing. Data cleaning step is there. When you have to clean the data, so we can make use of pandas to clean the data is missing, so we can recover from it. Even you can find some solution, so the data will be cleaned perfectly fine. Even we can do data alignment, integrated handling of missing data. Okay, that's what we are seeing. Reshaping, pivoting of data sets, label based slicing, indexing, subsetting. This also we will see today how to do this one. Slicing, indexing, subsetting we can do. Then columns from data structure can be deleted or inserted. Any extra column you have to attach, or you have to delete one column, so we can perform this operation using the pandas. Then group by data for aggregations and transformation, transforming data from one format to another format, applying same operation on the whole data set that we can do. Or we can perform the group by operation, aggregating a data using a specific groups. That also we can do. Merging, joining, and importantly, time series functionality. So remember, in data analytics, time series analytics plays very important role, because when you have a data collected according to the time, okay, that's okay, fine, it's great according to time. Like you're having a sale of a company, and they're giving the sale of company day by day, so it's a time series data. Basically, I just want to plot it, and I want to do the predictive analytics on that data which is collected according to the time, so we can do that operations also on the pandas. So these are the wide range of features that pandas is having. So as per your requirement, need, necessities, we can make use of pandas to perform a specific operations on it. Okay, so installation, I'm using Linux operating system here. So I use apt to install, or we can use the even pip command is also there, which is used to install it. Like if you are knowing, Python installer pip is present, by which you can download the packages from the website, and we can install it. Pandas is the name of the package that we can use. But if you are using Anaconda Navigator, then pandas is by default present inside it. It's no separate installations required. Or if you're using the Google Colab, they also in Google Colab, the pandas is by default present. Okay, so we don't need to have any extra installation from it. Fine. Okay, so before proceeding, I'll show you one website here, which is pandas official website. So you just go through it, and I'll show you one thing here. Wait a minute. See the official website of pandas, so you'll get many things from the same. Here I'll show you pandas.pydata. Sorry, just a minute. org, yes, org is extension. See, this is pandas official website. Pandas fast, powerful, flexible, easy to open source analysis tool that we can use for top of the Python programming language we'll be using there. So, okay, so complete reference of pandas is mentioned here. I'll just show you. Here the documentation is given for latest version pandas 1.2.4. Here the documentation PDF format is present. I'm just clicking onto it. This will get downloaded, and what everything that you need to know about pandas is present inside this particular file. Okay, complete detailed documentation of the pandas is there. Now see, it is getting some time for downloading. The number of pages that the documentation contains is 3000. More than 3000 pages are there in which the documentation of pandas is available. So you can think of it, the power of it. Everything is that they are showing practically inside it. For every version by version, novel data analytical operations are added. Even if you know the database, structured databases like MySQL or Oracle SQL or Microsoft SQL or SQL Server or any other like PostgreSQL or SQLite or MongoDB, non-structured database like. So all of them can be connected with pandas, and we can read data from them inside the pandas data structure also. Means they are providing pandas is providing the connectivity for the backend databases also. So it's not required that your data should be always present in CSV file format. If it is present in a database format, then also that data we can easily load inside the pandas. We can perform operation, analytical operation onto it, and even we can save the result back in the respective databases also. Okay, so this is how pandas applicabilities are there. Okay, it's getting loaded still, so it's getting too much time to do. So if you're interested to work ahead with that, you can directly use this sheet also. I've gone through most of the topics which are mentioned in this sheet, but still 100% is not covered it. So many operations that are specially required for structured data, they can also be done with the help of the pandas package here in Python. Let's see this one. Yeah, the pages are 3325. See, currently that's what they are creating with Wes McKinney and the pandas development team that they have created, released in April 2021. And complete detailed analytics with pandas, they are mentioned a lot more. So you just think of 3000 are there. They're going to summarize here today. Yes, this is official website pandas.pydata.org, which you can use it there. Fine. So this is all about the pandas. But before again proceeding, a few things that we need to know. You may have learned about the data structure which are present there in Python. Now pandas specially support two different kind of the data structures here, which are series and data frames. What is series and what is data frame? That we'll talk about first. So these data structures are built on the top of NumPy array, numerical Python. In basic Python, we don't have the concept of arrays, so we require a layer of API like NumPy, numerical Python, that we require. Okay, then only it's possible to create the arrays. Arrays means collection of similar kind of data, similar data. That's what we call as arrays created with the NumPy. And using NumPy, extension to NumPy is done, that is called as the series and data frame. So what is that? The best way to think of the data structure is that higher dimensional data structure is container of its low dimensional data structure. High dimensional data structure is container of its low dimensional data structure. Just like matrix is a container of array. Fine. Matrix is a set of arrays are there. So same things are present here. Data frame and series are connected together. So data frame is a container of series. A set of series create a data frame. Series is one-dimensional labeled homogeneous array. One-dimensional and labeled means this contains the numbers to it. Just like array contains array list tuple contain the index, here it contains labels. Similar kind of index and labels are there. Size is immutable, means you cannot change the content or size of that particular series here. Content can be changed, but size cannot be modified for a series. So collection of similar element is called a series, just like array, but we are having labeled array present over here. That is what series is. And next, data frame. Data frame is the container of series. So a general two labeled size is mutable tabular structure with potentially heterogeneously typed columns. Think of a table, think of a data set that you have created where different kind of columns are there. So that we represent in the form of a data structure, which is called as the data frame. Like I want to store information about student, where I'm storing roll number, name, marks, class, which I'm be showing now. So that is called a data frame. Every column is a series, and a collection of series is a data frame there. That's what the pandas uses. Now let's see how exactly series is created. See, that's mentioned over here. Series is a one-dimensional array-like structure with homogeneous data. For example, the series we can see here, it's an array, is it? It's an array. But the size of series is immutable. Content size cannot be changed. Values can be changed. Values are mutable and size is immutable. Homogeneous data. It's compulsory that all the elements inside the series are of same type. There is a class in pandas called a series. That class is used to create the series object basically, and the second one is called as data frame. Data frame. So data frame is a two-dimensional array with heterogeneous data. Check it out. Roll number, name, and marks I mentioned. So here we have every individual column is a series. So first roll number is the integer series, name is the string object series, and the third marks is the float series. Fine. And when you combine all together, we create a table. So data is represented in rows and columns. Each column represents an attribute, and each row represents a person. Fine. Row is a person, individual column is an attribute. This is what we call as a data frame. So if you talk about the structured data analysis, so we are talking about the same. Now for structured data analysis, your data should follow this kind of structure. So we need to follow this kind of structure. So obviously we require a data structure which is capable of storing data in this format, and that's what data frame is. Data frame is a class in pandas which is used to perform the operations similar to this one. See, the type of columns which I have shown over here, like roll number is integer, name is string, and marks is float. But in general, the string is not an object in Python. In pandas, basically, they're storing object as the data type of the string kind of data, which combines everything. Object means combines everything. All kind of data will be there inside it. So what are the points? Heterogeneous data, not homogeneous. Different kind of data in different columns stored inside it. Size mutable, you can change the content and you can change the size of this data frame also. These are the primary properties of the data frame data structures. Now let's talk about the series object, and we'll go ahead. Many things are there, but we'll take an overview of this object, practically how exactly these operations are possible. So let's check it out. Just a minute. The content of remember data set. Okay, data frame basically is mutable. Size also mutable, but for series objects, size is immutable. Size cannot be changed for series. Okay, so I have opened my Jupyter notebook here. Maybe if you're comfortable with that, we can use it. Or if you're not, then we can go for Google Colab, one of the great cloud. Google Cloud is there, where they are providing facilitation to work with the data analytics, data science, machine learning applications, where all the packages required to do that data analytics, they are pre-built, pre-defined, available. So whenever you have to use the pandas, we'll be using an alternative name here in data. In companies also same names are there. In research also they're using the similar name, that is PD. So we can import that, import pandas as PD. So you can check this and just make this font somewhat bigger so it will be visible to everyone. Import pandas as PD. So PD is a short name that I am following there. Now see, two different kind of object data type it uses. One more was there in the previous version of 0.18 before that. Panel data structure was it. Panel means multi-dimensional data frame was a panel. Now it's not available. What they have done, they have created a separate package for panel because it was confusing to keep it in pandas. Now they're using series and data frame only. So I want to create a series. So let's see, PD dot series. Okay, series is a class whose object we can create, let's say S, and we can pass the parameters to it in the form of the series, means the form of an array basically. See, if you write like this, and you can see this is how it's observed. Contain index also printed along with that. This is changeable. Index can be changed. Means I want 100, 101, 102, 103, like that's so possible. That's what the difference between series and arrays. And even the size of S cannot be changed. Means if I want to add, if I use some method to attach the content of series, is not possible. It is immutable. Content we can change it, but okay. Now see, so this is the way the series is created, and it's mandatory that all the element in the series should be of same type. If I make one as 1.7, now you can see all have become float. The array contains also similar way. One, if one is float, all are float. You can see data type is different here. Or if I make this as string, now it has become object. Object means, as I told, it's a string. Everything, object means everything. So everything has a string now. Okay. And now if I make it integer, it's single integer, although all are making integer. This is what the property of arrays and applicable to series also. So main data structure, which is single dimensional data structure present, is series. If I write shape, so this is basically pandas is work base is on series above the data frame, and then above all of the operations are there. So before proceeding with pandas, we need to understand what is series and what is the data frame. This is your series data structure is. And the second one is the data frame. Data frame is collection of series. Let's see. Df is equal to pd dot data frame, and here I'll pass three elements. Like let's say first I'll have serial number, okay, and it's a list of elements, something like 101, 102, 103. Okay, first column. First column is of integer, and now second column, let's say it's name, and there I'll pass some name A, D, Z. Okay, and third column is the salary. Here I'll write list or array element are possible, or series element is also possible there. Let's say 5,000, 34,000, and 12,000. Yeah, comma is missing. See, this is what we call as the data frame. So the structured data that we will be reading from the external source, that will be stored in this particular format of data frame, where the column contain the names and row contain the numbers. So row can contain different things also. Column names can also be different. Everything we can change, changeable there in the data frame. So if you check the data type of S here, just check this. Type of S I'll show you. It's an object of series which is present in this sub packages pandas.core.series, and for data frame, if you see pandas.core.frame.data frame. So data frames is a class whose object is this, which you have created. By using the constructor of it, I have just created it and I printed it. You can see the content of the data frame on the screen. So like that, you can just check it out. Correct. So, and even if you create them as a series, then also it is possible to create it. Just a minute. Huh? Okay. See, so here it is like that. If I write pd dot series of, this is the series I passed. Okay, three series element are there which I passed. Then also the content are not changed. It's a collection of series of three different types. Fine. So this is what connection, what's the meaning of series and data frames are. Now, when you have to work on structured data analysis, we will focus on both. If I want to access single column, so that will be series, and if you want to work on the whole data, that will be a data frame. Okay. Fine. So let's see. I'll show you one simple file here, and that file we want to use inside the program. Okay. So a simple CSV file I'm having with me here. Okay, a simple CSV file I'll show you. Just a minute. See. Okay, so I think it's visible here. You can check it. See, so for example, this is a student.csv file I have created. And in this file, you can see here, it contains 5 columns: roll number, name, class, marks, and age. Okay, it's stored in my current working directory. And if I want to do analysis on this particular file, so we can do that with the pandas. Let's see how to do these particular operations. So role, name, class, so all loading, preparing, manipulating, or saving, or creating model is not possible generally for at this stage, but common 4 operation that we will see here. So this is a file which is present in CSV file format. Remember, when you open this file in your text editor, you will get a comma after that, role, company, comma, the comma which is supported for text mode and supported for the your spreadsheet mode also. This is your spreadsheet program, so it's supported for that also. Now if I want to read this particular file, just a minute, if I want to read this particular file, so we'll be making of the pandas for the same. Let's see how to read that one. So that's what we call as loading of data frame. So we can load this data and then can perform operations on it. Let's see, I'll share my screen. Wait a minute. And let's continue forever now on this particular code. Yes. So I want to load this particular file. The file which I shown right now, it's a student.csv. We should load that. There are a lot of functions present, not for CSV. CSV only one function is there. I'll show you which kind of files are present. So you can see df is equal to pd dot. So there are many read functions are there, read underscore functions. Read clipboard, CSV, Excel, feeder, FWF, GBQ, HDFS, HTML, JSON, like all. Even SQL table, SAS, SPSS file can also be loaded by using the same. Okay, so read underscore CSV. Here I'll pass the file name student.csv. Okay, and the complete file which I shown here, that's read inside the df. See this one. In the data frame format, like we have a CSV read CSV function by which we can read this particular file, and we have saved that particular file inside the df object. So df is the data frame now. So on that data frame, we can perform many different kind of operations. Let's see a few of them, operation which we require for data analytics here. So let's see, first of all, df. And now, how many rows and columns are there? That's I want to know for this data frame. So I can use shape. Number of rows are 10 and number of columns are 5. Number of rows are 10 and number of columns are 5, which are present in it. It's tuple, so it's non-modifiable. Size cannot be changed. You have to add the content extra to it. So df dot shape, that is number of rows are 10 and number of columns are 5. Most of the time what happens, we are not actually knowing the names of the column because we have to refer the column names. Maybe if some space is there before and after of the column names, they are not visible here. You can see this. The space which is present before and after the column name is not present here. It's not visible easily. But if I want to check exact column names present by which we can refer it, because that column names are very regularly referred to perform analytical operations onto it. So to check it, we are having one attribute called as columns. See, columns. They're the column names. So what column names are having? So you can exactly check it. There is no space or before and after the column name. Some data frames are there. I'm having that where they're containing a space. So it's very difficult to know what exactly the column name is present. Because if space is not identifiable, so we can check that's an error, but you will not get key. What error? What type of error is present there? So these are the columns that's the data set is having. And now I want to see the snapshot of this data which I've read. So basically, after reading this data, you use that data to the machine learning algorithm for predictive modeling or descriptive modeling. But before that, we have to pre-process, you have to perform some operations on it. If I want to see this snapshot, means top 5 entries or last 5 entries only, so check how exactly it is looking like. But because see, if you print like that, the complete data will be truncated. If lakhs of entries are there, and it will fill up your screen by truncating also, it's not possible to show all the data at once. So we'll use some methods like head. See, it will show the snapshot of first 5 entries only. First 5 entries which are present in the data frame, they are just like this: role name, class, marks, age. Five, only first five roll numbers. But it contains a parameter there. Basically its value is default 5, but if I want to see first 3, so I'll just make it 3 here, and can check this. First 3 entries are shown. So if you know the opposite word of head is tell, so same tell function is used to check the last few entries of it. See, I want to check the last 5 basically. By default the parameter is there, we are not given that, so check it. And if you pass the parameter to it, so you can ask like this. Okay, so these methods are there which we can use to see the snapshot of this data frame. So by this method, we can easily know about it. Now, before actually proceeding with the data modeling, we have to just extract the columns or extract the rows. It is not always compulsory to perform operations on all the data. Maybe if you read the data and 100 columns are there, for building my data model, I don't require 100. Wait a minute, sorry for the interruption. It was disconnected, I think. Yeah. So slicing of data is required for most of the time when you don't require a specific rows to take input or the output. Okay, so to do this one, row and column slicing, there are some methods which we generally prefer to work. So the methods are like I can make use of two attributes here. That attributes are ilock and lock. Let's see here, just like df dot, if I write ilock, I don't want a specific rows, or I want a specific rows and columns. So you can make use of it here. See, df dot ilock sequence is given. So before comma sequence, a column sequence. See, before row sequence and after comma, it's containing a column sequence there. So see, df dot ilock. Here I'll write row sequence 8 and column number 1, 2, 3. Now see, execute this df dot ilock. Ilock stand for indexed location, integer location basically. So I just put the local, like I want the row number 3 to 8. Higher bound is not considered. 3 to 8. So 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 they are extracted. And accordingly, I want the column number 1 to 3. 4 is again not taken in consideration. Okay, 1, 2, 3 that are taken. And now we can see this one. Check it. So 1, 2, and 3 they are extracted only. Even we can save it. I'll just copy it. And I want to save this data after slicing. So I can do, see, stored in X, and then I have proceeded further with using X ahead. So X is also a data frame where this data is stored. Fine. Or I can discard many things. Like for example, I want to start from first row onwards till 8th column, or till only 6th column, 6th row, sorry. Starting till 6. So 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. They are extracted. And the column number 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. Okay, only they are extracted. Now you can see. Or even I can discard many things. So I just want from 3rd onwards all. 3 onwards all the rows till end of the rows it's taken. See, this is how the flexibilities are provided. That's what we can use here in the Python to do the structured data analysis. Even 3 to 9 and 1 onwards all columns I require. I have not given the higher bound. So except row column number 1, column number 0, sorry, 1 onwards all the column, and row number 3 to 9. Correct. Let's say one more. If I write till 7th column until 3rd column, 7th row and 3rd column is starting from 0. So 0 to 7 and 0 to 3, like all. So this row and column sequence can be specially used to extract the row and column sequences here. So before comma, we are giving a row sequence, and after comma, we are giving a column sequence, like that. This is what we call data slicing. By using ilock, the numbers of rows and numbers of columns will be specified to extract the row, but they should be in sequence. Sequence discarding is possible. Now see, I just want exactly one row or exactly one column. For example, I want row number 7 and all the columns of it. Now see here, I have not mentioned any specific sequence. Directly number, single number is there before comma. So row number 7 and all the columns are considered here. See, this is your row number 7, which is roll number 8 with the name, class, marks, and age. Fine. So only one number, or exactly single row I extracted, sliced. Or if I want exactly single column there, see all the rows, and I want the column number 3. See all the marks which were extracted. df dot ilock, all the rows, comma, row number 3, it's extracted exactly that row. And this is a series. Remember, single row or single column is a series always. But if multi rows and multi columns are there, there are data frames. Okay, it can extract it. So I just extracted exactly that I want to know. Fine. So this method we generally use to perform the operations with, but it's applicable to the sequential elements only. Now, if I want non-sequential elements, so let's see ilock, I want the row numbers. So I just want that row numbers 2, 4, 5, 8. Okay, before comma, and after comma, I mention all the rows. all the columns, sorry. See, all the column for row number 2, 4, 5, and randomly they are extracted. So if I want to change the numbers, for example, I want 8 number first, and at the end I want number 1. Now see, here you can observe it. They are extracted like this. 8, 2, 4, 5, 1. So 8, 2, 4, 5, 1. They're extract exactly, and all the columns are mentioned. And even you can mention the columns number also. So for this, we will use so 2, 4, class and age. Okay, column number 2 and 4 only they are extracted. Fine. Randomly we can have this data extracted by using this particular method. Even see, if you know, there is a function called as range, and that range function is used to, let's see, for example, 1 to 10 increment by 2. Okay, it's a range function. If I want that list of it, see, 1 to 10 increment by 2. So default Python range function is there, which is used to create a sequence or the list of elements here. So 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. 1 to 10 increment by 2. That's what the meaning is there. If I want these row numbers, okay, I want these row numbers only. See, I'll just put this range function here, these rows and all the columns. See that. Check this. 3, 1, 3, 5, 7, and 9. Only that rows are extracted. Fine. So it's applicable. Any methodology we can follow to extract or slice the data from the given data frame. In this way, we can do it. Form same is applicable to columns also. Okay, remember, it's called as iloc. And now, if it is not possible to remember the number, see, one thing is that it's very easy to remember the names rather than numbers. Column contain names, not numbers. So if I want to extract the data according to the name of the column, as per the name of the column, so there is one more attribute that we can use, is called as loc, L-O-C, where you can write all the rows, and I want a name column to extract. See, rows I have taken as it is because rows does not contain the names. Loc means location, exactly name I want to extract, so I can do by this method. Fine, exactly that name. Or if I want a set of columns, so I can do in this way. I want name and their ages, name and age, name comma age. See, loc all the rows comma column name and column age that I have extracted, and thus we can say it's printed here on the screen. Check it. So loc is used to access it by names, access the names of the columns. Even row can contain the names, but it's very special cases are there where the row will contain the names instead of numbers. They contain the names. Means string values are there instead of the numbers. It's called as indexes that we can pass while we creating it. Okay, so this method we can follow to perform operations of it here. Loc. One more thing, if you want to exactly extract single row, single column, sorry, not row, single column, so that loc is not required. Special abilities are given by pandas here. What's that? Let's see, for example, if I write like this, df of name means I'm passing index as the column name, so exactly that row, sorry, column is extracted. Fine, check it. This is the ability provided here, and if I want to have multiple different rows, so I can pass a list of it, multiple columns, name comma age. See, a list of column names are passed, so exactly that we can extract. This is what flexible applications abilities are given by pandas on the structured data. Okay, and one more thing is there, if I want to exactly extract single column, so I don't require in a square bracket also. How? So let's see, df dot name dot operator is to access that attribute. So it's acting like an attribute. If you know the object-oriented programming, we are having attributes inside the code. So using dot operator, we access these attributes. So column names are just like the attributes that we are putting and accessing it like that. Okay, so many such methods are there which we can apply to perform the slicing of data. Either the data is in sequential format or in non-sequential format. Okay, so you can access it, and specific rows and specific columns we can access. Now, it may also be possible that I want whole data except the row number 5. Row number 5. So what to do? So see, df dot drop. There's a function that they are providing. Uh, Row number 5, correct? Sorry, dr is that will show error. Wait a minute. See this. So you can check it. So 5 number row is not taken. It's not sliced. It's not extracted there. Row number 5 is dropped. Fine. Row number 5 is dropped now. Just a minute. Okay. Okay, so this is applicable to rows, and now let's go for the columns. If I don't want the class column except other columns I want, so we can make use of same method there. But there's a special ability which is provided by the pandas for structured data analysis. Is like, for example, if I don't want class, I can write class, but I need to tell this function is that the column class is okay. It's a column, not a row. It's a column, not the row. So there's a special parameter that I pass there. It's called as axis. Means by default it contains horizontal axis. I have made it vertical axis. Horizontal axis means rows are applied with the drop function. But when you make it horizontal vertical axis, it's applicable to the columns. Now see, class is a column now, which axis has told us. Fine, class is a column. Getting. So df dot drop axis is equal to 1. Class is dropped and we got axis equal to 1. Fine. Here class is not present now. So this different sort of many different kind of methods we use. So basically, when you want to build the machine learning algorithms, so there these methods are specially used to separate the input variable, that is your independent variable, and output variable, which is dependent variable. So if you want to separate them, we'll be making use of these methods of slicing the data. We'll use it, and then accordingly you can perform the operations on the respective data there. Okay, so these are the common methods that we need to know, we need to remember here. Now see, some aggregate operations also we can do on this particular data. Aggregate operations like I want to do mathematical operations on this data. So to do this one, there are certain functions present. If you just check the total number of functions which are present in pandas to apply on data frame, total number of functions are more than 450 functions are present. More than 450 functions we can use to apply the operations on it. Okay, so which functions are possible? Okay, which kind of functions are there? That we will see. Functions are there, functions and attributes are also present that we can see here. So just a minute, let's see one by one. First, I'll show attributes. Now see, I want to check the shape. Okay, already I think we have seen that. Or if I want to check how many number of dimensions are there, that's we can see. Now sometime I want to perform operations of transpose, means I want rows as columns and columns as rows. We know the transpose concept is like that. We just convert the rows into columns and columns into rows. So for that we'll be making use of the t attribute there. You can see this one. I've just created t df dot t. Now here rows are converted into the columns, and columns are converted to rows. See this. Fine. Or I want to check data types of all. I just want to ensure what type of the data the data frame is containing. Just a minute, data types. See, every columns data type also we can see by this particular method. See that every column that's we can apply, and we can check the data type of it by using d types. Fine, this is the way that we can follow. Even one more attribute is there. See, you can just check the individual column. Sometime it also may happen that a function or any particular class or anything, any method require the data to be in array format, not in series format. See, for example, if I write like this, df of marks, so marks are extracted. Correct. What is that? But it's a series. Name is marks and data type is float, series A. I don't want this marks to be in series, so I want that to be in the array format. See this. This is converted to array. If I write df of marks dot values, so data type is converted. I don't want to do any typecasting there. I will apply the values attribute, and values attribute will convert this data or this column into the array format. See this. This is what we got the array now. Correct? Arrays. And not to this only, I can do complete transformation of data frame into array. See this. This is your NumPy array. Array. Getting? So it's array of list. Array of list. First list is containing this element, first element, second element, third element, like all. Values by which you transform this data or the series or data frame into the array format. Okay, so this we will apply, by which you can perform the operations of it. Even there are some aggregate functions are there. Aggregate function that we require at various phases of data analytics or in machine learning also. These functions will perform the operation collaboratively on the respective column. See, df of marks, I want to take the mean of it. 65.77 is the mean of all of these marks. Correct. So mean, inbuilt functions are that we can make use of. I don't want to specify any kind of algorithms there. You can see this. Or I want to do the addition of all. Or if you know, there is a concept that we used. So the common arithmetic function that we apply in statistics also, this plays very, very important role to check the data distribution within the data set. So like median is there. Median means middlemost element. Actually, 10 elements are there. It means that middle element is containing 2 and average of that 2 is here, 66.39. Median. Or if you know something like, let's say, product. Okay, product, you multiply them each other. Okay, that's what product. Or we have to use the cumulative sum. That also we can see. Cumulative sum. See, this is cumulative sum. Means first is added in second, second to third, third to fourth, fourth to fifth, like all. So these are the aggregate function that we can apply the operations. Even see, you can just check it. How many non-null elements are there? So by this we can check the missing values present in it. Now see, every column contains the 10 non-null elements. If null elements are there, that will not be shown over here. So data is perfectly cleaned in perfect format available that we can find by this method. Count non-null elements. Okay, for every individual column, it's present and it's applicable there. Even there is one more method. If you know these, there's a concept called as most frequent element. That's called as mode. See, like if you go to class, which is the most frequent element that we can find by using the mode. Okay, both are there, 50-50. B is 5 times and D 5 times, I think. That's why it's shown like that. Most frequent element. So before using this data for building any data analytics model, we just have to check the complete dispersion of the data, central tendency of the data. If you know in statistics they are present, so we'll be making use of these methods for performing this operation. And one more thing to note is that, see this, if I done the sum for the marks, okay, but if I write df dot sum, then it will applicable to all the columns, not the specific columns. Now see, all the columns which are present to this data frame are, they are added together. See, and we got the result like this. Check df dot sum. So all roll number names are all are added at a time. And one more thing to note, like these operations are done column by column. Correct. I want to do them row by row. I want to add row by row. So basically row is the mixed element, but numerical element can be added. So as I have already seen, there's a special ability given in pandas to perform or to convert row operation to columns, column operation to rows is the axis parameter. This is the addition of roll number, marks, and age. Only numerical columns are added together by using this access parameter. So this access parameter we use, and with this access parameter, just can change column operation to row operations and row operations to the column operations, like that. This is a special ability given to the functions present in it. That's what we can do. Apart from that, a few more functions are there. These functions will tell you the description about the data set, data frame here. Two very commonly used function that I use in data analytics and the data science machine learning applications. First, describe. See, it will summarize the statistical properties of your numerical elements only. See this. How many elements are there in it? Like count of all, then mean, average of all. Standard deviation is very important to know. The dispersion, spread of the data, how it is distributed, that we can find with the help of the standard deviation. So most of the time when you apply the normalization phase, so we need to check the standard deviation, and then we apply the feature scaling by which the data can be normalized. Even minimum, maximum value, minimum of all. So by this we can find the range of that data from 1 to 10, 56.75 to 78.66, or 19.19 to 23, are the quartile values. The first quartile value, this is second quartile. We might be knowing second quartile value is the median of the elements, and the third quartile values that we can see here. Okay, like 25%, 50%, 75%. This how they are distributed. That we can, this is numerical statistical properties of it that we can see, and by which you can see how the data is actually organized within it. This is what we can see. Means some conclusion I can show. See, data is normally distributed when you observe that this mean and median are almost equal, 20 and exactly equal. That's what it is. That element are in sequence. In the element are in sequence, then mean and median are exactly equal. This is what conclusion that we can draw by analyzing your data in this particular way. Fine. So this method helps us a lot. And even there is one more function like information about a data frame can be seen. Check it out. Like we have the range index from 0 to 9, total columns are 5, roll number 10 integer, name 10 object, class 10 object, marks 10 float, age 10 integer. Correct. And in all, summary shown, data types, memory usage, everything that's we can find by this particular method here. Check this. Fine. Okay, so these are the operation that we expect to perform on that. Even some operation that we can make use with the help of the apply function also. See, for example, I want to check, or I want to apply same operation on all the elements, like a numerical operation that I want to do. Any numerical operation that I want to apply. For example, in marks, I want to convert that marks 100% to 10. Means I want to represent these marks not out of 100 but out of 10. So you can see df of marks. Okay, they are here. Fine. Df of marks. And if you write dot apply, there is a apply function that we can make use of it, and it is a parameter of lambda equation, lambda expression. By beginning, lambda equation is anonymous in Python. So lambda of x, I want x to be divided by 10. Now you can see every marks is divided by, it's taken here and divided by 10. So first divided, second, third, fourth, all they are divided by 10, and we get the similar operation that you apply. That we can use the apply function. We can modify accordingly. And even one more thing, I can add it as an extra column also. How to? So let's see. I'll just copy it. Let's add it as GPA. So extra column will be added. You can see GPA is added here. Extra column is attached. So this is modified using the marks column. We are attached, perform the specific operation on that. Likewise, so many flexible operation that we can do. Apply is very commonly used function that we use, and then we'll perform operations on it. Even apply function can contain many functionalities which are not present in the data. Like in array operations are there, and you have to do that array operation on every individual row, which is not present. Just like mean, max, sum, we have seen this function is not present. That we can initiate with the help of the apply function also. It's a part of practice. That's what we can do. We can make use of it by practicing a bit. Okay, so this is how we can do. Now, I want to sort all of these elements according to some columns. So there are many sort methods are present. If you just use, see this, sort by values and sort by index, two methods are there. If I write sort values, okay, so by what? I want to sort it by marks. Now see. So all the values are sorted by marks. Here you can see 56, 56, 58, 59, 65, 67, like all. Sorted according to marks, and we can save this sorted contents again inside the original data frame also. See, so most of the time, most of the functions which are using here, we are printing it. They are just showing what exactly happening, but they are not modifying the actual data. Remember, so if you want to modify actual data, we'll use the in place parameter there. In place equal to true. Now, if you change it, now data is getting modified. Data is modified completely. Data is completely modified. You can see this. See, sorted. Fine. So likewise, many such functions are there that we can apply. As I told, 450 more functions, many different functions that we can apply onto it. We can extract your results. Okay, one last topic I'll show you, and then we'll close it. It's called as Boolean filtering. Boolean filtering means slicing concept we have seen. In slicing, we have extracted the data according to the rows and columns. According to the rows and columns. Means column numbers. I don't want that. I want the values to be sliced or to be extracted based on the value that is present in it, not the numbers, values I want. Let's see. For example, I just mentioned here df of marks is greater than 60. And you can see this. Where the marks are greater than 60, I think they are sorted. That's why showing false here until above it. Marks are greater than 60, we get false, and where they are, sorry, more than 60, they're getting in true, and where it's not, it's showing false there. This is called as a filter, called as a mask filter basically. So this filter I can pass as parameter to another data frame like df, and I'm passing it there. You can just check it out. I'm getting the data only where the filter shows the true, where this marks are greater than 60. This column only. This is called as a Boolean filter. Boolean filter. So we applied the filter, and then accordingly we got the data. Okay, the filter, and then we got the data. We get the data. Fine. You want to add multiple elements. This method we generally follow very commonly to extract the data that we need as per the values present in it. So just can check it. I'll write and operator here. Might be knowing df of marks equal to, let's say, I want only from B student. Oh, wait a minute. Sorry, not marks. It's class. See this. Okay, so B is a class and marks are greater than 60. So that's what we have. That's it. This is what Boolean filtering is. Even I can store this data in a variable also. Let's say x is equal to x is equal to, and this x we got that data, and even I want to store this data. So I'll use x.to underscore csv, and I want to store this data permanently on my drive. See output.csv. Again, one more parameter is required. Index that I'm having, it should be false. Sorry. Index is false. Now this file will be created in our current working directory, and the data will be saved inside this particular file, output.csv, in CSV format. Fine. Okay, not only that, even I can save this data into HTML format to HTML. Or if you want to use LaTeX report generation, that's also possible by this method. So let's see output.html, comma. Okay. So HTML file will be created in my current working directory, and a table, by doing a table tag is an HTML, wherein by using trtd, we can store this data in the HTML file format. So likewise, 20 different file formats are there in which we can store this data, retrieve from it also. So import, export is so much easy. In between that, many analytical operation we can perform. The presentation which I shown over here, I'll share that with you. You just can use it. Many more operations are possible on the data which we can do. We can store inside the structure file, just like CSV, and we can import that using the pandas, and you can perform many operations onto it. This is just some small subset of data which I've shown over here. So likewise, many more operations are possible. Just can try by using on own. So that's from my side. So if I have any kind of questions or doubts regarding the structured data analytics using pandas, so it's open for you. Thank you. Just a minute.
Any questions from participants?
I'll go through chat box. Just
yes, sir. Chat box.
What is the difference? Okay, I got one question. What's the difference between lock and iLock? I think I explained that. Lock and iLock. iLock is index location, integer location. It means that lock is using, see, lock is using numbers, sorry, names. Lock is using names, and iLock is using the numbers. If you want to use the number to access the rows, we'll be using iLock, and names, so using lock. That's the main difference between both. About that, one more question is there. Why we are writing index equal to false? See, index numbers are assigned by the data frame to it, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4 automatically. When you write that in the file, index number will also get written inside the file, which is not already present inside the file. So we have to discard that index numbers. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 are there. So for that purpose, I'll be writing index is equal to false. Remember. Okay, one more question I got. So what if data is having any garbage value such as NA? NA is not garbage value actually. NA is missing value. NaN we call it as. So we have to clean the data in that case. There are many methods are there. Maybe if you have seen the data pre-processing session, data cleaning operations are there where there is a function called as fill NA. df.fill NA you have to apply. So you just can put some data instead of it. So data cleaning is required. The data pre-processing task that we can do. Garbage is not there. We'll have NaN value, not a number. So to perform that operation, we can do this one. Yeah, we can use drop NA. Drop NA is used to delete the rows directly, not to save. So drop NA will delete the row completely. Fill NA will fill the data. Data will not be lost. Drop NA will lose your data. Remember. Okay. One more question. How to store filter data in single object? I think we have stored that. Yes, at the end, x is equal to, we have seen that. Remember, that's filter data is already stored there. Remember. So just a minute, it will go up. Yeah, if any other questions are there, so you can put in the chat box also.
Okay. If you have any question, you can unmute yourself and directly ask to this, sir. No issue. Okay, sir. I think no questions.
Yeah.
Mostly you attended the questions, all questions. So thank you, sir. Such an in-depth knowledge, and with practice, we are more eager to listen you again tomorrow morning.
Yes.
On data visualization things, right?
Yeah.
So thank you, sir, for this session. and your kind attention to this towards this session. So thank you all the participants. We'll meet tomorrow morning sharply 10:30.
Thank you, sir.
Participant, kindly fill the attendance and feedback link. I have posted here. So those who have missed the sessions, please fill this. Yes, we'll provide all the details at the end of the session. Thank you, sir.